All right. Good morning, everybody. Here I am, AJ's Political Views, where we connect people in politics and make political speech easy to understand. Give me that old school radio talk show type of vibe with a little podcast on the side. Now, I talk often about our freedoms. A change is coming. We just don't know what kind of change that's going to be. And we're going to also talk about which group are you? That's right. What kind of person are you and what kind of people you hang out with? That's what we're going to talk about here today. You're listening to AJ's Political Views. Let's make it happen today, everybody. Let's have that conversation. Enjoy the intro. All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the live show, AJ's Political Views, where we connect people in politics and make political speech easy to understand. Good morning to you, Viking. Good morning to you, CJ. Good morning, everybody. Look like Roberto is coming up. Good to give you that old school radio talk show type of vibe. With a little podcast on the side. That's what we do. That's what I do over here. Something different. Freedoms. A change is coming. Which group are you? Good morning, Roberto.
Hey, AJ, how you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing lovely. Running a little late this morning. I've been running late for the last couple of days, but it seems though when it rains in the area, you don't want to get out of bed. You feel me? Because it's the rain, hearing the raindrops.
You can go to YT, you know what I'm talking about, and they have a deal on there where you can put rainfall on your phone.
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar with that. Right there, but nothing like the natural.
Yes, of course. Don't forget your disclaimer, AJ.
Most definitely. Let me do that disclaimer now since you brought it up, Roberto. We're going to get with the disclaimer. Thank you, my brother. All right, everybody, I'm going to get ready to do my disclaimer. Hold on. All right, the disclaimer. The assessment of any individual or policy, including the persons mentioned here, is not based on knowledge from a personal interaction with any one person, but is only offered here as thoughts and opinions, primarily based on things read and seen that may be of news media, tabloids, blogs, rumors, conspiracy theories, and other platforms where conversations and speeches are held, which means that all is seen as untrue until proven otherwise. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. I am your host, AJ, and this is AJ's Political Views, where we connect people in politics and make political speech easy to understand, give you that old school radio talk show type of vibe with a little podcast on the side. All right, everybody, I have done my part. Thank you, Roberto, for reminding me about my disclaimer. Good morning to Critic. Good morning to Joe. Good morning to Keisha. Good morning, 1299. I am glad that everybody, those that have decided to come in here to take part with AJ's Political Views, where we talk about freedoms once more. A change is coming. Now, as far as what we know, that change is not going to be looking pretty good for us. But we can change the narrative of the change. It's all about how we come together, as I talked about on yesterday. How bad do you want a change? And today I'm reminding you that there will be a change whether you be involved or not. There is a change that's going to come into this country in executive orders that is going to be signed into law. And the question is, where will you be? Who will you be with? And have you organized and prepared yourself for that major change? Or are you just complaining? You going to be a complainer, or are you going to do something about it? Are you going to keep talking about Trump and what he's going to do? Or are you going to do something about it to prepare for what he's going to do? It's coming. There is no debate about that. There's no debate. It's coming. The question is, what do we do about it? How bad do we want the change? And are you okay with organizing? I mean, we need all kind of organizations. We need all kind of social groups to come together all over this country if you want to change. Now, I know some folks might feel like, oh, you guys are reaching. It's not that bad. Or, okay, well, I'm going to leave you on that side of the aisle. Okay? While me and others do what we need to do to prepare our communities, our friends, and our family for what's about to happen. You gonna keep it moving while others are thinking people are reaching. We gonna keep it moving. Yes, Roberto.
AG, you're not gonna believe this. When the live is over, I keep hearing you yelling my name, even though we're not even on live. I keep hearing Roberto. I'm looking around, and I'm not even on live. I guess we've been doing this a while.
Yeah, that is funny, Roberto. I didn't know I had that kind of power, Roberto. That's the ancestors, man. Calling you, telling you, get it, stay out these TikTok streets.
I'm looking around like you're in the room.
That is funny.
I even jump like I'm scared. I'm like looking around. I'm like, oh man. I guess we've been at it a while, I guess.
Yeah, Roberto, you have been with me a long time, my brother. We have been doing this for some time, not quite this way, but you have been around for a very, very long time, and I do say your name often. I didn't know it was going to get to you like that.
What happens is it's like every time I pick up my coffee cup to take a drink, then you call my name, It's always just inopportunity, It seems like it's not really that way. It's just, how I think,
Hey, listen, man. Hey, listen. There are times, sometimes we can hear people calling us. I can remember my mother used to call my name all the time, and she'll say Drew or she'll say AJ or whatever the case may be. And for a while after she had passed on, I kept hearing her calling me, and she was nowhere around. So it's that happens, man. It's nothing out of the ordinary. You're not crazy or nothing. I know people say, man, you hear voices. No, you know what voice you hearing. That's that's the difference when you can identify who you're talking about. Now, if you're talking to somebody you don't know, that's another story. I mean, if you hold long conversations, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
It's kind of like when you're driving down the road and you see a cop sitting there running radar. You slam on the brakes, but you realize you weren't speeding.
Yeah. Warning signs, man. Warning signs. Before we find ourselves in a situation, we just don't listen. Sometimes we have to listen to those hidden voices. And I know a lot of folks want to identify that as being crazy or whatever. But listen, it depends on what type of crazy you're talking about, because I do believe in a spiritual realm. I do believe there's something greater than ourselves, a deity, a God, a savior. I believe in all of that. I think men have used spirituality in a way to manipulate and control people, but that's what men do. Men have used spirituality as they're using right now. But all you got to do is watch their actions and watch what they do. And the fact that they have chosen a particular individual for president of the United States, all in the name of a deity and a God, that lets you know what kind of individuals they are. They're just using spirituality to get what they want. And a lot of people do it.
Exactly.
That guy on yesterday that came up on live and asked the question. God. But you remember the guy that came up yesterday and said, I don't understand why people always try to shame individuals.
Oh, yeah.
You remember when he said that? I thought to myself, as he was talking, I said, we're not trying to make you feel ashamed. You feel ashamed already because you know you made the mistake. We ain't have nothing to do with that.
That's why they keep coming up here saying that, because they feel guilty.
We don't have absolutely nothing to do with that. All we're going to do is tell the truth. And if you can't handle it, as they say, if you can't handle the cooking in the kitchen, get out. Try to come across like they're so smart, like they know so much. All you got to do is let them talk. Just let them talk.
He didn't even realize he was embarrassing himself.
Oh, right. Didn't even realize it. And that's why I did it. Because I knew he wasn't going to realize it.
And I'm sure he's still doing it and will do it again.
I mean, if you're going around to many different type of lives having the same talking points, you're doing it for a reason. Nickels, dimes, and quarters. You know what I say when I say nickel, dime, and quarter? You know what I mean, right?
Yep.
Nickels, dimes, and quarters. When they go around from one place, from one platform to the next, talking the same rhetoric, it ain't got nothing to do with but nothing more but nickels, dimes, and quarters, my man.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was even ineligible to vote.
That might be the case. That might be the case. But you need to gotta pay your rent. Gotta pay your rent, your light bill. If you got a car note, you gotta pay that. So some folks do what they do because nickels, dimes, and quarters. They get change on the side. Don't hurt them. So I believe that's what that was. That's what that was all about. Miss Nana is in the house. Good morning, Miss Nana.
Good morning, baby. Be nice, AJ. I hear you.
What I do? I didn't say nothing.
We know he got his rent to pay. Be nice.
Oh, well, If he come back today, that means that he need an increase.
You need to increase.
Yeah, he need an increase, so he had to come back today and do it all over again. 'Cause the more he do it,
Berto on that
the more
though.
money he make, huh?
Berto on that though. Berto watching.
Oh, listen, Roberto always be on it.
Right.
Him and Sandy and Barbara and all of the Deidre and all the rest of the Mars, they always be on it. And you
Yeah.
yourself, Miss Nana, you be doing your thing.
You know I got to watch them because they but you know what though? They funny to me. They
Yeah,
funny to me.
yeah,
They we've
But
been around here long enough to know. We see it. We see it. We know what you're doing.
I feel you, Miss Nana. Thank you so much. I feel you. I put freedoms up there, and I'm talking about a change is coming. Now, how that change looks is really up to you, we the people. Now we know what the other guy is going to do once he take that seat and take that oath, which he don't really respect. We're in trouble because they're going to implement some executive orders in this country that's going to bring a change in this country like never before. And I know that most individuals that support him, they think that those executive orders is going to be a benefit to them in their lives, and they're going to be sadly mistaken once those executive orders go into law and things start happening throughout this country. Now, there are going to be, I believe, some lawsuits filed, all right, as regards to these executive orders, but that's going to take time. And that means that some of these things are going to happen when you show up at the doctor office and you realize that you don't have the same type of coverage when they ask you for $150 right up front. Or when you go to the grocery store and at one time a pack of meat was costing you $7, now you got to pay $14 for that same pack of meat. Or when you go to a restaurant and you see roaches and rodents running all there because there's no regulations. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about. Or when you go buy some clothes and you find out that dye in the clothes is causing you to have some skin problems because of the clothes you put on your back because of regulations again. This is the kind of stuff that people don't think about and talk about when you choose a political party into office. You got to understand who do they represent. This administration represents corporations, billionaires, and millionaires, no doubt about it. They don't care nothing about you. If you're not a millionaire, a billionaire, they don't know your name.
I would say is look up Executive Order 13848. Look that up and that'll tell you everything you need to know.
Thank you, Roberto. Roberto always bring some backup because one thing about it, what we do over here, we do follow up, fact checks. We don't just say stuff because it sounds good. We try to make sure that we have the facts. It's imperative and important that we have the facts so we can address the issues before us. Now, this is not a scare tactic. This is a new reality. There is a difference. Some people would think, oh, no, you're trying to fear people. You're trying to scare people. No, no, no. If Trump didn't scare you, nothing will. Okay? If Trump didn't scare you, there's no way possible I can scare you. Okay? Let's be real here. Executive Order 13848. Look it up. As Roberto cited. Y'all see it in there? Look it up. It's going to tell you exactly what they want to do to you and me. Now, I don't know about you, but I've already begun the process to organize, to prepare for what's coming down. Now, I tell people, buy your deep freezer, buy you some meat while it's cheap, put it in your deep freezer. You better do that. Make sure your bills are caught up. Don't be behind. Pay all your bills up. You better do that. Okay? And hopefully you live near some transit and bus stops, because gas may be so high you may not even be able to drive to your workplace, especially if you're working 35, 45 minutes away from where you live. I suggest that you get you a card, a transit, a bus card to get to work. You better do that. That position that you've been waiting on, that promotion that you've been waiting on, especially if you're black, you may not get it. Prepare yourself for that. Oh, yeah. As it relates to education, okay, and the possibility thereof, eventually your son or your daughter, they're going to know the 10th commandments by heart, and they're going to read every scripture in the Bible, preferably the scriptures that represent the Christian nationalist movement. Prepare yourself for that. So they're going to come home quoting scriptures and calling you a sinner. Okay? I'm just telling you, prepare yourself. All right, your little boy, your little child gonna come home one day while you sitting there drinking your little you know what. They're gonna tell you to put it down. You're a sinner. Hadn't paid a bill, but they're gonna start telling you because they're gonna get so much of that stuff in school until they can't help themselves. And they're gonna go home and tell their mom and dad, get it together. Y'all lost. I don't want to live here no more. Y'all sinners. That's what hey, listen. Yeah, y'all may think I'm joking. I'm telling you now, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to put the Bible in schools. The 10th Commandments is going to be there. Your child going to go to school. They're going to sit down at the desk. And the first thing the teacher going to say, turn the Bible, turn your scripture to 1 John 34, 45, 5. Let us read that out loud, class. They're going to know that more than math. Don't ask them no English. Don't ask them no math. Don't ask them no literature. Don't ask them social science. Don't ask them anything other than what the Bible says, because everything else they're not going to teach. They're just going to teach the scripture. Your child will become a minister, a pastor, a bishop, an apostle, an elder, and they're only 15. And they're going to ask you for one of the rooms in the house so they can preach. Hey, mama, can I have my room? I've got a couple of people I need to bring over here so I can minister to them. All that sounds good. Yeah. But what if you're not of that religion? What if you're not of that religion? Then what? Right. That's a problem, because that goes against the Constitution. They are challenging the Constitution. And you know why they're challenging the Constitution? Because they wanted to go straight to the Supreme Court so the Supreme Court can overturn a lot of things within the Constitution. But that isn't even constitutional. Make amendments to the Constitution. But they're trying to get around making amendments for the Constitution because they don't have enough numbers. They need a certain amount of numbers in the state, and they need a certain amount of numbers in Congress in order to make amendments to the Constitution. So they're trying to go around the Constitution by challenging the Constitution in hopes that it would go to the Supreme Court and they would have the opportunity to overturn it. At least they'll get a tax break. It's funny, but it's not. Hey, that depends on their income. If you're not a millionaire and a billionaire, you're not getting a tax break. That depends on your income. Of a tax break that they're going to get, it won't even matter. How many of you really feel and see a tax break when it happens? That's the question people need to start asking themselves. Some of us don't even remember when we got a tax break because it was so small. It's just like when you get a raise. You ever worked for a job? They gave you a raise. They gave you a quarter raise, gave you a 25-cent raise, and they think they did something. You ever work for a job like that? I remember when I used to be out there hustling out there working on these jobs, and I worked 2, 3 jobs at a time sometimes, and I'm not Jamaican. I'm sorry. No, no insult to the Jamaicans. I'm just saying you guys know how to work. you know, they used to do that on they used to do a skit on a Saturday Night Live. How many jobs you got? I got to be 3 jobs. How many jobs? I got 4 jobs. I got 5 jobs. They used to Berto.
I saw the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen last night. Again, they're coming back with those absurd Trumpy bears.
Urban Bears. What are you talking about?
Trumpy bears. There's Trump
Oh,
teddy
Trumpy
bears.
Bears.
Yeah, I hate those.
Well, they ain't for us though, Roberto. Those Trump Bears ain't got nothing to do with you and me.
Oh, I know that. They just, I mean, who comes up with that?
Well, I mean, who you think come up with it? Okay, Trumpy Bears. That's like the golden fish. The little fish head that talks like Trump.
Yeah.
That's merchandising. They're still pimping the Trumpers. Just sell them anything. They're gonna definitely do it around Christmas time. Just make up anything. Just make it up at the top of your head and put the name Trump on it. It's for sale.
No doubt, right?
We got our guest today that has joined us. Good morning to you, sir. How are you this morning?
Good morning, AJ.
What's happening? I ain't seen you in a minute.
Well, I've been working on me. I've been showing up for me, my brother, because all that you're saying is so true.
Well, hey, listen, man, I try not to do nothing else but tell the truth over here in regards to that guy,
Well, that's what the H and the A stands for in handsome. Honest and authentic.
Hey. That's what I'm talking about, my brother. That's what I'm talking about. So what's new? What's happening? Are you organizing? What you doing? You preparing?
I'm preparing and I'm writing because my skill set now is I'm an author and I'm writing books and I'm writing about all that is happening in the world right now. I'm preparing, most definitely. I'm preparing and I'm aligning myself with the right people. Goods Unite Us. I don't know if you know about that app. That's one of those good things out there telling you where your money going, because I definitely ain't giving my money to the people that's trying to put me back in chains.
This new administration is coming in. We don't know what they might try to do.
Yeah, but that's where I would say to us, not only do you need to start showing up for yourself, we need to align ourselves. But the other thing is we also need to use the resources that we have to our advantage. That's what I'm telling people. We have a lot of technology out here that we can use to better ourselves.
So now that we know, we have to prepare ourselves and more than just one way. Some people just
Exactly.
get stuck and say, oh, you got yours, I got mine. That's okay. It's okay. Do what you're gonna do. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. And if all of us do what we need to do, we can get done what we need to have done. But it's very difficult, especially when it comes to the Black community overall. It's very difficult for us to trust one another and do anything.
Well, that comes from history of division.
Yeah,
History of division. They have kept us divided for so long.
That's part of the problem, but we got to get past that, man. We got to get over that because our lives depending upon it now. We actually having conversations that our ancestors had as regards to their freedom.
I know. And with the way the world is and how they're trying to change the history books, now they're trying to say, oh, we didn't do all of that and all of these other lies they're trying to tell. That's why I have to write my own story so that my lineage, and you should too, your lineage, can know about who you are. And they don't want us to go nowhere but back to where we were.
Most definitely, because they're trying to roll back everything that represents our freedoms. And I tell people, your freedom is written on a piece of paper. That's where your freedom resides. It resides in the Constitution. And they can overturn that. And what some YT people don't understand, their citizenship is not written on a piece of paper in the way that ours is, if you know what I mean.
I know.
You got to do, look back at the Dred Scott ruling. That'll tell you right there.
Exactly.
That's all you got to do. Look at Dred Scott and and he didn't even get his freedom until the Civil War. So let me tell you what happened with the Reconstruction during that time of the Civil War. They was on the right track. If you know that the Freeman's Agency, which was implemented by the Union in Lincoln and all of them, when they send the Freeman's agencies to the southern states to they had to follow certain criterias in order to make it back into the Union. They should have kept that going, right? But when you start voting and changing political parties, what they did, they voted the Dixie Democrats back into office, and they overturned the Reconstruction. But the Reconstruction was going in the right direction because they split the land, but the ex-slaves and the masters. They gave us opportunities to have our own cities, our own towns, and to do our own thing. And when that compromise came about, voted a guy in that overturned a lot of what Lincoln wanted to do as regards to, even though he was more concerned about bringing the Union together than he was stopping slavery at the end of the day. But we have to understand how important elections is and how they matter to our lives, because if you keep voting the wrong people, this flip-flopping of parties that we got is the reason why we're here now. Because once a president get on the right track and go in the right direction, they always overturn it by voting in somebody else that, rolled back all the policies that the previous president implemented that would have been better for us.
Here in South Carolina, that's a period between 1865, when the end of the Civil War and that Reconstruction period was when, believe it or not, the House of Representatives here in the state of South Carolina was 75% African American. But in South Carolina history, they marked that as the age of buffoonery, because they were saying they were led by all these uneducated people. But it was the African American Republican Party that established the public education system right here in South Carolina.
Also in 1850, was it 1850, 1852, around Dred Scott? Was it 1850, 1855, somewhere around in there? Yeah, Roberto, you wanted to follow
1857.
1857, that was the Dred Scott ruling?
Correct.
Well, it happened. There were several dates there because, he kept going back and forth. I think he won it in an appellate court that upheld his freedom. Then it went to the Supreme Court, and that's when they overturned it and told him that no slave or freeman has an opportunity to become a citizen of the United States above the YT man. One of the Supreme Court justices said that.
That's correct. You know what? Here would be an interesting question for you, AJ, that I would have for you. How would you say, because we have been told that history repeats itself. So how would you say we are now in the 21st century? How is the start of the 21st century? Because we are in the really, the lower percentage of the 21st century. We only, just getting ready to hit 25% of the 21st century. And we're reflecting back on the 19th century. So do you not see the pattern? Even when you say 1857, you be dealing with Dred Scott. Then you fast forward a whole almost 100 years later, you got 1800s, and you got the Civil War, and there's still this race thing going. Well, that was also, wait a minute, I'm not closing the gap right. Sorry, I apologize.
Oh, no. I see where you're going with this. We have to understand that this is a system of colonization. So when you have a system, that means every generation can take up that system and keep it going.
Exactly.
So that's what we have. It's not about, it's about history, but it's also about a system and methods on how to keep a certain people down. They know their history. They know the methods. They know what Jim Crow was about. They educated themselves. They're stewards in that area. That's why they keep repeating it, because it works. And as long as it keep working, why change it? So of course, it's easy for somebody to go back and look at various ways things was done in this country as it relates to the system of colonization and the religion of colonization, because that's what they use. There's two things they use, two elements they use. They use the religion of colonization and the system of colonization, and they embrace that. That's why you have Confederacy, right? The South never got away from the ideal of the Confederacy principles. So while people were going on and moving with their lives, the South still believed in white superiority. They still believed that they were the chosen people. They are to be the ones to implement policy, law, and religion in the lives of everybody and anybody who did not look or behave like them.
Gotcha. It was their belief system. And
Well,
that's
let me
what
tell
we
you-
have to do. We have
Well,
to
let me
change
tell-
our, huh?
Let me tell you what their evidence was. You know what their evidence was?
What?
They get away with it. They get away with it. You see, the evidence is nothing bad has happened to us while we're doing this, and we keep doing this. That must mean that God is with us because we keep getting away with it. Listen, you can use Trump as a perfect example of how they have consistently got away with things that you and I could dare ever think to get away with.
I know.
And anybody else. This guy has broken every law that's imaginable, not to mention the ones that he have not been tried for and found guilty of, that he continues to stand up and had the right to run for president of the United States because of the color of his skin, which represents superiority. So when somebody that is YT looking at that, they say, oh, we must be on the right path. We must be of God, because look at what they've been trying to take him through, and he is president of the United States now.
Yep. You said it. Because right now you have a man in prison who haven't been convicted of anything. He's been accused of many things, but he ain't been convicted of nothing, but he locked up.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
He can't run for the president.
And then the opposite from that, you got a YT man that has done some similar things. He's walking free.
Exactly. That's the point. That's what I'm saying. We need to wake up to, and that's why we need to organize, and that's why we need to have a collective mind so that we can put ourselves in the best position for our people and our lineage. And it ain't nothing against nobody else.
Well, this is the thing. Handsome, I gotta say. The problem is that you have to weigh reality. How would I say this? But let me put it this way. Let me say it this way. Now, there's always a door opener for individuals other than. However, there are limitations and lines that must be drawn as regards to how much we want to involve ourselves with any other people other than who we are. If you follow me, what I'm saying here.
I follow you 100%.
Right. Now, the problem is that until we address the issues, the underlying issues in our community, we have not been able to move forward because we have not addressed the underlying issues in our community as regards to our sons and daughters loving one another in ways that they don't cause harm against one another, and them knowing their history. Unfortunately, we have generations that don't know their history. We got generations that the only thing they know about is slavery, but they don't know about the kings and the queens. They don't know about the era when Africa was in control and had power. They don't know about our abilities to overcome and succeed all obstacles and the things that have come against us.
They don't know about our religious beliefs that we had prior to coming to this country and how we internalized and thought about our own consciousness. Go on.
So when you start talking about even the religion of colonization that says it's better to ride on a donkey than to drive in a nice car because this is what belongs to you and that belongs to us. And so we have been oppressed by the system of colonization in which we've embraced the religion of colonization. We continue to embrace it and we judge our own people by it. That's what keeps holding us back. And how do you know that it's the religion of colonization? You watch how they respond to their own religion. That's why I call it the religion of colonization, because it's not pure. It's not real. It's built on hypocrisy and lies and misinformation. And you cannot tell me that if the deity that they have described is real, that deity, that God, that Lord, that Savior would be okay with the things that they've just done. So we got to be able to identify who we really are spiritually, physically, and mentally. We need to begin to identify who we are as a people, because they know who they are. We need to know who we are. We're the only people in this world that have been called multiple names. And it switches every day. They decide, we're going to call them African American. Let's talk about African American for those that don't know where that came from. That originated around 1983, 82, 83. Jesse Jackson brought that to the forefront about African American, because he did not like the term black, because he said it did not connect us to anything.
Exactly. Yes.
And being that black did not connect us to anything as it relates to culture and our history, he wanted us to be connected with something other than America. Our skin color and America, because also that included America. You got to understand, Africa, being called African American, disconnect you from American, from being an American. That's why some YT people see us as refugees, or they see us as people that don't belong here, or they don't see us as citizens because they still want to place us in Africa. We all come from one place.
Yes.
Okay? And that's Africa. Even your historians and your scientists and everyone has agreed that everybody came from one place, and there was no such thing as race.
Exactly.
Europeans created the ideal of race to divide people, cultures, history. And it was all about power and greed. That's what it was about. Is that we can either keep the system of colonization going in our personal lives, or we can stop it.
Exactly.
Just because it exists doesn't mean it have to exist in your life. You don't have to embrace it.
And it don't have to exist in your world either.
It don't have to exist in your world. It don't have to exist in your life. But we got to stop embracing things that does not identify us, or we cannot identify with. That's why some folks, it's hard for people to stay saved, because first of all, we don't know what that means. Well, let me tell you what I mean when I say that. If we are saved, truly saved, then why are we keep experiencing the same thing over and over and over again, while other people are walking around here free?
That part.
All right. They're the only ones that have gotten freedom to do whatever they want to do, to say whatever they want to say, and unalive whoever they want to unalive under the umbrella of their freedoms, while we run around here saying we need to be saved. And if we get saved, things gonna get better for us. What I want to tell you, my grandmother was saved, my mama was saved, I got a lot of people in my family was saved, and when I looked around, they had absolutely nothing, but they were saved. Okay? You got to be able to identify the methods of colonization versus your own personal relationship and what and who you believe in. Disconnect yourself from propaganda, misinformation, and lies as regards to your own faith and belief in who you are. Let nobody tell you who you are. You should know already who you are. This is another method that they have used to keep us back and keep us from moving forward, because they want us to believe that it's better to be submissive to the king than to worship the true God. Just because they said, don't make it so.
Yep.
Just because they wrote it doesn't make it real. And this is why we keep dealing with the same thing. As I said earlier, we still having the same conversation about the same stuff that our ancestors had, telling our sons and daughters, be careful. Always listen to the officer. Don't say nothing not the way to the master. Be careful what you say. Watch when you walk down that road. Watch what you, same conversation that our ancestors had about their safety.
We have to kind of break those chains on our family first. You know what I'm saying? Because it's hard to get away from it if every time you go around your family, you immersed in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
So what advice would you tell a person in order to, unify us? Because what I tell people is the love has to first start inside of you. You gotta be what you want to see. A lot of us are walking around out here and we're doing things, we're saying things, and we don't even have a clue about what our purpose is. And so how do you pull those people and get them on the right track?
Well, that is not an easy task, I must say. However, we have to start taking note of what is the other side doing and what have they accomplished compared to what you're doing and what you've accomplished under those same ideals and philosophy and doctrines. Who's moving far ahead as regards to even when they say blessing? Who is truly being blessed here? Who is truly getting what they say this omnipotent one is going to give you? And it's bigger than just religion. It's also this ideal that one group is superior over the other. And we got to understand what's really hidden beneath this ideal that everybody need to embrace this deity in a way that they can receive and get the things that they're supposed to have. And you have to take a note and look at what one side has gotten versus what the other side has gotten to determine maybe they're serving something different. Maybe they got a different relationship with something else other than what is really right. It's not so much is to say that the ideal of worshiping something that is greater than yourself is faulty, but it is the ideal of choosing that which is real over that which is false. Anybody can make a message, send a message, draw a picture, and say it is what it is. This is what it is. But you got to make the decision if that's the truth or not. What we've been given is lies, and people have been embracing lies. And because they embrace lies, they're too blind to see the truth. So first of all, we got to make them aware that the stories that have been told have been false stories. They have been lies. They have been untruth. Let's go back to history. Why do you think they're trying to erase our history? Why do you think they don't want to talk about things in the past? Why do you think that they created this idea that the word woke is a bad thing, right? They did all of that because that's where the truth lies. So now we got to identify the truth from the lie. We've already seen it. We've seen it in the actions that has just took place in the past election. That's how this guy got into office. Don't think for a moment that the Christian nationalist movement didn't have a part to play with this guy getting into office. They did, along with the Heritage Foundation. So you had a political foundation and a religious movement combining together to manipulate the people with misinformation, propaganda, and lies, all in the name of a great deity. And a lot of people have been manipulated. The only ones that have really been manipulated is the black folks, because YT people already knew it. They wrote it.
I know.
They wrote it. They already know how it works. Hey, Mick, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, AJ. I'm doing great. Hope you're doing well.
Doing good. Thank you for asking. What's on your mind?
Nothing. I mean, I've been coming on the live on and off, not as often as before the election, but I still come up on here on my second profile, since my first one was taken down like so many creators were. I mean, I've been hearing all the feedback. Obviously, I'm Cuban American, born here, but my parents are Cuban, so I've been hearing the Latin community and the Black and other ethnic communities talking about why they voted for Trump. And I just, hearing the same talking points, the spinning wheels, of how they're voting to punish Democrats because they feel they didn't do anything for them, and that they were just made a lot of promises that they didn't deliver, which is ridiculous to me. It's like shooting yourself in the foot, because the gun maker, excuse me, the pew pew maker didn't give you a rebate or something. It makes no sense at all. And it's just like a self-victimization that's just ridiculous, and I don't understand it. I don't understand why they would vote against themselves. Even if they feel the Democrats haven't done enough for their causes or their people or their communities, why you would just jump on the bandwagon with the biggest bigots, thinking that's going to make a difference for you in any positive light. I come from immigrant parents,
Well, Mick,
so
let me address a couple of things that you said here just a minute ago, just a second ago. Actually, first, we have to stop giving them conversation, and the reason why we got to stop giving them conversation is a waste of our time. At the end of the day, these people have made a decision based on ignorance, and
yes.
that ignorance is by choice, and they can't see the truth because we're yet in the way. And what I've been telling people is that until we get out of the way for them to see the truth, they're going to keep seeing the lie. And the lie is that the Democrats is the problem when the Democrats are not. They are the problem, and we need to let them see that. And I hope that some of these lives and individuals that take time to debate with these people over and over again of why they voted for who they voted for. We had a gentleman on here yesterday, and I took the conversation in a different direction. They wanted me to take it in the direction that they wanted me to take it in. But I let them know I'm the one in control of this conversation, and this is the direction I want to go in. So we got into this whole thing. I said, what are your expectations? See, that's where we should start now. There shouldn't be no conversation about why you voted. The vote is out. It's been done. It's over. The conversation should be now is, what is your expectation from this person that you have voted for? That's it. We should not be going back and forth with an individual about, well, if you hadn't voted, this is going to happen to you. No, 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 no. Because only thing you're doing is giving them an opportunity to escape the truth. And the truth is, you created your own problem. You created it, not me, you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step back and I'm going to get out of the way, and I'm going to let you see what you just did to yourself. That's it. But this whole back and forth, why you voted for him, you this, that person, you did that, I think we got to stop, because they're going to use you and me as the scapegoat. That's why they keep saying Democrats, the liberals, the Democrats, the liberals, and the Democrats and liberals keep on talking to them, keep on debating with them, and that gives them an opportunity to say it again. The Democrats and liberals said this, the Democrats and the liberals said that. But if we shut up, but let them just stay out there by themselves so they can see the truth, because we ain't talking back with them, they're going to have the conversation that we want to have, not the conversation they want to have. If they're going to come up on this panel, they're going to have the conversation I want to have. And one thing I'm not going to ask them is, why did you vote for him? My question is, what is your expectation? Now that you voted for him, what is your expectation? Start there.
Yeah, they always pivot and go into every direction and answer no questions. I mean, it's just talking point after talking point, or scapegoating, or blaming immigrants, for losing jobs, or it's just ridiculous. It makes no sense. It's like constant self-victimization. Yet they accuse the left of taking handouts and being welfare queens. Meanwhile, the red states have the biggest welfare in the nation and are the biggest drain on welfare.
But Mick, they only have an opportunity to do that because we give them that platform and
Yeah,
opportunity to do it.
I agree.
And we got to stop doing that. We got to stop giving them a platform and an opportunity to come up and say those things. If they're not going to talk in the direction that you want them to talk in, then drop them.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
The Democrats should have dealt with him before he shouldn't even been able to run. If
Yes.
he already had 34 felony convictions, why this man is not in jail? Because if it was me, I would be locked up.
Exactly. I mean, look at that lady in Florida who got arrested just for saying depose whatever the Luigi's model, whatever. She said that over the phone, and she immediately got arrested. They threw her ass in jail. That happens with a quickness. But this man who has done crime after crime after crime is now about to be our president.
And you came back with that question why, and I gave you the why. You didn't hear me
So,
earlier?
like I said, I never had faith in either one, but I understand why government exists. Government exists because there are people in this world that need to be governed. I don't feel like I'm one of those people because I know what is intrinsically right and what is intrinsically wrong.
Yep.
But everybody don't know that, so that's why we have government.
Let me say this, and let me put it this way. He's a YT man, okay? In a YT
That's the
world.
main part.
In a YT world. He's a YT man in a YT world. And when you start talking about the political party that represents his election, and in fact him winning, they are now a party of YT superiority. We cannot continue to look at them as what they once was. They're not that anymore. Okay? They're not that anymore. They are a party of YT superiority, meaning that it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you're YT, you get a pass. You get a pass.
Mm-hmm.
And so the problem is that America had never really truly dealt with racism. Because if they had truly dealt with racism, they would have did an amendment to the Constitution to make all of us equal indefinitely.
Yes.
Not no, halfway deal. This whole clause in the Constitution that says if you break the law, you suddenly become a slave again. Do you know how old that is? And no politician, not one, addressed that. And because that is there, it emboldens people that of a superiority complex to get more bolder in their stance. Mm-hmm. It gives them a sense of freedom to say, you don't belong here. It gives them a freedom to say, you're a criminal, you eating cats and dogs. The conversation and the narrative got to change as regards to how we view politics now and how we view political parties. There is a recording out there that I saw where they were in a place of worship and they were praying, and their prayer was this, and I'm a fair phrase what they said. Their prayer was this: is that God, we know that you have chosen us to be the foreseers of America and to implement the principles, the doctrines, and the laws into America according to your will in your scripture. We, the YT man, are your chosen people, okay, to oversee other individuals in said country. They believe that. I paraphrase it, but that's what they said.
But you know what that's called? That's called divine right. Giving themselves divine right like they are the kings of the world. That's what they are. They're giving themselves divine right and saying God has bestowed on us the power to oversee everyone.
They've always said that.
I mean, the reality is the Republicans have always had this stance. The only difference is that now it's blatant and upfront and flagrant, but it's always been the case, going all the way back, even before Reagan, when the Nixon scandal happened. Where did they start looking for voters? They started going into these, supremacists and looking for those votes when they lost so many because of that scandal. They've been pursuing this.
Go down the panel, give Ms. Nanda an opportunity to speak and see what Roberto has to say as well, because me, Mick, and Handsome have been on the telephone. We keep getting on the telephone. So I'm gonna have to keep them off the telephone. Also, let me get us back in line with how we do. We don't interrupt the host when he's talking, and we don't talk across the panel. And I give everybody an opportunity to speak on the things that they want to speak on. So this is an interview chat type of live where I interview each person that is a guest, and I ask them questions, and then they follow up with those questions. If anybody on the panel want to have something to say or want to say something to a panelist, put your hand up in the chat, and then I will come to you. But we don't want to interrupt each other as we're talking. But so me and Handsome and Mick got to get off the telephone, and I got to notice everybody in the chat because y'all know what I mean when I say get on the telephone. That means that one person talking to the other for a long time as though nobody else is on the panel. That's being on the telephone, and I'm guilty of doing that often. So hey, I'm to blame. I'm to blame. It's me. It's me. Okay. So we got to get off the phone. But it's good to see Kim in here. It's good to see Mick, always Zay. It's good to see Zay in here. Let me see who else we got. It's good to see everybody here taking part in the conversation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Roberto, and then I'm going to Miss Nana. All right, everybody. Roberto?
Sorry, AJ, I let the crosstalk go on because it was friendly, so I didn't interrupt.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Anyway, I thought that prayer was just blasphemous. And I'm ashamed that there's people out there making prayers like that.
You know, but hey, listen, I wasn't really surprised. I was shocked, but this is a prayer that is being said all over America.
And that would not fly in my church.
If you ever hear a religious a place that says that they don't want the doctrine of Christ, that tells you exactly who they are. Okay, but they're refusing it for a different reason because it says has compassion, love your brother, and all of that, and they're not, because according to the scripture, the image that has been sold for thousands of years is not the image well, hundreds of thousands of years is not really the true image of Christ. But we're not going to go down that road. I'm not going to go down that road. But what I am saying is that this is to conquer and divide the people. That's really what this is all about, you know. Everybody just against one another. That's what they need. They need that to stay in power. Let me go to Miss Nana. Hey.
Hey, AJ. The thing is, they need unrest. They need for us to be mad at each other. They want us to get out there and fight. They want us to be a problem. Because see, if we're a problem, then he can get his martial law and all of that, and everything he wants. We can't do that. We can't do that. It's not beneficial for us.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I've said that a lot, that he wants chaos.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that he wants chaos in his country. That's why he's sending people to through various platforms and social media sites, and they're saying very insulting things towards other groups because they want people to start this whole ideal of having a race war.
Yeah.
That's what they want. Okay, they've been saying that for years. They don't think that they put that in their back pocket. They did. No. They haven't.
But people think they have. They don't want this.
No, that's not in their back pocket. They still want to do that.
They really do.
Okay, let me give you an example. Thank you, Ms. Nana. Here recently, Trump and the Vice President Vance, the elect, took a picture with the young man that unalived the brother in the train station. Was it New York?
Yeah.
Was that New York?
Yeah.
New York. They just recently took a picture with this guy that unalived a black young man for no reason at all. Choked him out for no reason at all. And they took a picture with him. What type of message do you think they're sending? Let me go to Handsome, and then I'm going to Mick and get their opinion. Handsome, as it regards to the picture they took.
Basically, your life don't mean nothing. That's the message. Right. Your life don't mean nothing.
But they're sending another message too. Do you know what that message is?
No, you're gonna have to hear me. I mean, that's the biggest message to me. That just means I don't need to be messed up with you.
I see it a different way. I see it your way, but I also see it a different way, and I'm gonna let you guys know it. Mick?
It's a direct attack. They're basically giving the seal of approval to go after ethnic groups. That's what I see.
That's it. Got Roberto?
It means open season.
That's right. What they're saying is if you commit this act, you will get away with it. That's what they're saying. Don't worry about it. This is what we want you to do. And when you do it, you'll get away with it. And why do they say that? Because that's history. That means we got to go backwards, right? And to go backwards means we got to be able to have the same rights we had during the time of Jim Crow. Trump even said that I would love to go back to 1798, 1797. You go back that far, we weren't even looked at as citizens in this country, even though many of us was natives. Don't get it twisted. There were Africans and natives on these lands, and indigenous people on these lands. Don't get it twisted. America has always been a place of diversity because there was no borders. There was no such thing as borders. When the colonizers took hold of the land, they created the borders. They got together, Europeans all got together and started splitting up land like it was their own. You take this, I'll take that. And then they got angry with one another and started fighting for particular lands that didn't belong to them. Sort of like the different colors that you have in cities that wear different colors, and they call it their territories. And they start unaliving each other. Y'all see how the colonized system work? It even goes into the streets where you have various groups that's claiming various neighborhoods and unaliving each other based on territory. Well, that's what colonization is, you know. So yes, our communities have been colonized to keep you oppressed. Colonization is bigger than just the government. It's community.